Why is he cursing so much? I explained this in the interview.
I never go ahead and give
All right. Well, I
30
grew up
30
like
seconds.
I grew up in a home where every fourth word, from the time I was a little kid, well, the time I was a baby, every fourth word I heard in my house was like, you know, like fuck or shit or whatever, and that's just like the way I learn English. So when I talk in English, it's like, you know, it's going to come out every fourth word is like, you know, cocksucker, you know, like that's what it is, you know. Deal with it. Woo.
Did you sense the holiness of the land of Israel when you were there?
The holiness of the land of Israel.
Yeah, the Kedusha.
Yes, the Kedusha of Eretz Israel. Oh, I got off the plane. Oh my God. I got off in why are we talking about this? I got off the
It's in
plane.
the Torah somewhere.
I got off the plane in Eretz Yisrael. It was the first time I've ever been there, and I was like, "Oh my God!" I'm here, you know. I was like, "I'm in here." Oh, it's like the Holy Land, and I kissed the ground. I kissed the ground. What's happening?
Nothing. I'm laughing. I'm picturing you kissing.
I kissed the ground, and I said, "Shehechiyanu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu l'zman hazeh." They kept me alive, and I'm here, and everything. And I took a spit at that, you know, that statue of Ben Gurion. and then it was, and like the first 6 months, I was like on a honeymoon. It was like, oh my God, I'm going to all these, you know, Makomas Kadoshim. I'm going to all these holy places. I went to Kever this, and somebody's buried there. You know, I went to Kever Rachel and the Hebron, and I went to the Kosel, and I cried. Oh yeah. That lasted about 6 months, and then the reality is, after 6 months, it turned into just another country. And it was the secular state of Israel, and I could no longer like pretend I was not in the state of Israel, and that's when it became like the kedusha of Eretz Israel dissipates. Like, you know, you're on this fantasy high, and you realize you're in just a secular third world backward country, and you know this is probably not the best place to be. And that was when it was time to leave. But the problem was I was too stupid to leave after 6 months, and I stayed for 2 years.
You spent 2 years there.
2 years without a break. I never left.
Wow, and have you been back since?
No, I'm never going back. I hate that country. That's not a country for a Jew. State of Israel is no place for a Jew.
Why is there so much trash lying around?
Trash?
Yeah. It's the most trashiest place that I've been to in the first world. It's just like...
When were you there? Because I don't know.
2000. There's just
I haven't been
trash
there.
just lying everywhere.
I haven't been there since like 87.
Maybe you just left it there.
That was probably my trash, yeah. I just remember a lot of cats running around everywhere.
What do you have against the state of Israel?
Oh, well, it's like, what don't I have against them? It was like, there's the personal reasons when I was there.
Like what?
Oh, God, you know, it was like I wasn't accepted anywhere.
But you're totally embraced in America. Well, no, sorry, tell me, what do you mean?
I'm much more embraced right here in, you know, in Jewtown, Jewfinland, where we live, right? Right here in LA. You know, I'm more embraced by the Jews here on the street, in the restaurants, and everybody here likes me. That wasn't the reaction I got from any Jews anywhere I lived in Eretz Israel. In the state of Israel, everything is like you're either with us or you're with the terrorists, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't fit in anywhere. Yeah. Rabs never fits in. I'm like I'm like a peg, you know, in the square, the whatever it is. Yeah. And if I was in this group, then I stuck out because of this, right? And then they hated me because I was like, you know, like
what were some of the things that got you out of the group?
Okay, for instance, should I say things?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem. I was dressed like this, 100% like you see me today. I was dressed like this, right, which is basically the Belzer uniform, right, because I was learning in Belz and whatnot, and I went over and I started learning with Chabad, right, and Chabad prides itself on how loving they are and accepting and open-minded they are. Bullshit, a bunch of fucking assholes where I went. And you know what they did? You know what they did? They couldn't stand it. And I was there in that yeshiva for like a year, and they didn't see, like after 6 months, all the problems started. Like they love you, and they're like the Mormons. Right. You move into town in like a Mormon neighborhood, like everybody loves you. Go to Utah, right? And like everybody loves you and everything. And after 6 months, if you don't join the Mormon church, you're like you're going to be a Lutheran or something.
Yeah.
You're a pariah.
Right.
Nobody's going to talk to you anymore because you haven't joined them, right? That's how Chabad is. Chabad is like, oh, we love you, come spend Shabbos with us. And they're really sweet and everything for about 6 months.
Yeah.
And then when you don't join Lubavitch and you're still outwardly more frum than they are, they get nervous and they take it out on you. Yeah. I've had this happen in America too. What's going on?
I'm just banning.
Who you banning? Banning?
Guy who's calling me a homosexual.
Oh, well, you know what it is? He's probably a homosexual. That's probably what it is, right? Because the Baal Shem Tov says, you know, with the world is full of mirrors, and whatever you call somebody else, it's usually what you are.
Right.
Okay. So what am I saying? So I was in the, and
Chabad-
one night,
yeah.
and it all the climax came. One
Yeah.
night in Chabad, I went outside. I was, carrying my what do you call it, laundry, because you have to do it by hand. So, and a group of Bahram surrounded me, and they were ready to kick my ass, and they threatened to kick my ass.
Why?
Because I would not change and become, and lose the lavush and become Chabad and accept the Rebbe into my heart, and I wasn't going to do it, and I didn't, like the Rosh Hashiva didn't say I had to do it, and
Right.
everything was, but
Right.
they couldn't stand it, right?
Right.
And they were like, we're going to kick your ass, and thank God, their Rosh Hashiva walked out at that exact moment, and they all scurried like little insects. But I knew it was time to leave at that point. And then basically the next day I had to start looking for another yeshiva.
So why didn't you join one of the groups
Because my Rav was Rav Victor Miller, and he told me to be a bee.
What's it be?
A bee, thank you for asking, is something that goes from flower to flower. Bee goes from flower to flower, and it takes the pollen with it, and it goes to the next flower. Everywhere it goes, it takes the best, and it moves on. And he told me that's the way I should be. And he told me, go learn in Chabad Yeshiva, no problem, right? So it was just go there and take the best from it and move on. But they couldn't handle that in Chabad.
Yeah.
They couldn't handle somebody who's different than them. They can handle it if you show up in a Metallica t-shirt,
Yes,
long hair.
yeah.
You have if you walk in with a Metallica t-shirt, right, and long hair and a clean-shaven face,
Things.
right, and you're still like that 6 months later, that they can tolerate,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
because you're below them.
Yeah.
They feel like they're better than you,
Yeah.
and so they're not intimidated by you. But you walk in with like with me with a rabbit hat, right,
Yeah.
and the black thing and the whole thing, and you show up and you go I'm Shomer Mitzvahs, I learned Torah, and here I want to learn with you guys.
Yeah.
They're like, great, have a seat. 6 months later, you're still sitting there, and you're not
Yeah.
Rebbe. They're gonna kick your ass. They want you out.
Yes.
They have no room for you.
Yes.
And I had a similar thing here in Southern California at a Chabad house. I got close with a Chabad community here in LA. Not here.
In Pico.
Not where we live. But there was
Yeah.
another community, and I had been going there for a couple years. I'd spend Shabbos with these people and whatever. And then one day, out of nowhere, I totally got caught off guard. The rabbi of the community got up to the bima and he gives this thing and he says, "We have somebody here who's been with us for 2 years and he hasn't become Chabad, and the expectancy is you become Chabad." And he actually called me out in public. I was like, whoa! So the expectancy, no one tells you this when you join Lubavitch or when you come to eat by their houses. You're expected to become Chabad.
Yeah.
They expect you to join the cult. And if you don't join the cult, they get very, very nervous.
And every Kiruv organization in Orthodox Judaism is like that. Aish Torah is the same way. You don't join Aish Torah, you'll get a lot
I already
of love.
slammed Aish last week.
But you'll get love for the first few months.
No, really?
But then if you don't join,
Yeah?
they'll move you out.
Oh, I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about Aish on that aspect.
And you studied at other yeshivot, and if you didn't join their program, the love runs out.
Oh, yeah?
In
Chabad it does. I don't know about Aish.
But you studied at other yeshivot.
Oh, I studied other
Didn't you have a
yeshiva.
similar experience? The love ran out? Although there never was any love to begin with.
No,
right?
and that only happened, and that only really happened in my big blow up in Israel with Chabad.
But what about the other yeshiva? Did they
didn't-
embrace you and take you to
they-
their bosom and set you up with their daughters and
No, that's never happened. But I was learning.
said, "Rav, we want you to join the family.
I'd say
I don't
this.
feel like I'm losing a daughter. I feel like I'm gaining a son."
The Bostoner Rebbe, before
Yes.
he died, Bostoner Rebbe, I met with him privately, and he told me, he said, what your problem is? Wherever you go, you don't fit in. And I'm like, okay, that's me. That's me. But you know what? It works for me because I learned, like Rabbi Miller said, I can do that. I can go places and not fit in.
I'm the same way. Wherever I go, I marginalize myself.
You make yourself on the outside. Yeah, that's how I'm.
What was Rav Victor Miller like?
Oh, he was a great man.
I've read his books. I've heard his shiurim. He was fearless. He was funny, and he was provocative, and he was burning for Hashem and for Torah.
Right. You can tell that I'm a follower of Rob Miller because I just let it fly.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid,
Yeah.
to call a heretic a heretic.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to slam Chabad
Yeah.
or Aisha
Yeah.
Torah.
Yeah.